to all those above me that watch over me, to all of you, my fave parapeeps on this side of the veil, welcome. This is the Paranormal Ministry. I'm your host, Shawn Whittington. I'm a seminarian in the United States Old Catholic Church, and I'm coming to you live from my haunted house, my very haunted house, where I live. Got a great show today, and that's why you all tuned in. I don't get a chance to visit with him too often, and when he's here, it's always interesting. So I'm looking forward to that. So let's get right to it. The prayer urn. Betty Yu from Michigan. Hi, Betty. I want to believe in God. Okay. I desperately need some spirituality in my life. Can you pray for something to happen to me? Well, it's already happening, Betty. You've sent me this note and we're talking. Um, so, you know what? This is a great request because I get requests like this a lot, and it gives me an opportunity to pull out my newest favorite prayer, which I'm going to offer up for you and everybody out there that's watching and listening. They could use a little more spirituality in their life, spirituality in their life, um, regardless of what walk of life you're from or spiritual belief system you have in place or not. I'm going to do that for you, Betty. And I'd like you to reach out to me after the show, Betty, and let's talk about your spirituality. So this prayer is out of my Saint Benedict prayer book, and I love, love, love this prayer. It is called Searching for God, and I offer this prayer up for Betty in Michigan in the name of the Father and of the Son and of the Holy Spirit. Amen. O Lord my God, teach my heart this day where and how to see you, where and how to find you. You have made me and remade me, and you have bestowed on me all the good things I possess. And still I do not know you. I have not yet done that for which I was made. Teach me to seek you, for I cannot seek you unless you teach me, or find you unless you show yourself to me. Let me seek you in my desire. Let me desire you in my seeking. Let me find you by loving you. Let me love you when I find you. Amen. Isn't that a beautiful prayer? Betty, I love you, sister. Keep me posted on your search for more spirituality in your life and reach out to me. I want to talk to you. Okay. The Paranormal Ministry mailbag. Danny S. from Hawaii. Hawaii. I don't think I've ever pulled a question out of the bag from Hawaii before. Huh. Somebody can tell me if they ever remember me talking about Hawaii. Hi, Danny. Do you believe in elementals? I know where this is going. We have the Menehune. The Menehune. Have you ever had an experience? I'm going to leave this elementals. I'm going to leave this question out and talk to my guest about it if we have time, because our topics today is cryptids and elementals. I believe in the Menehune. I've talked to people that have born and raised, spent their whole lives in holy people in Hawaii that believe in the Menehune. Some even claim to have seen them and interacted with them. And yes, I do believe in elementals. I believe I have elementals on my property. And that's a story for another show, or I might have time to tell my guest and you all about my experience with and there's a Hawaii thing there too, with my wife bringing, she lived in Hawaii for many years, and she brought home this really unusual rock, I know, from Hawaii, and set it out in the yard, didn't tell me we were having issues. I found the rock, found out where it was from. Should have sent it back, I didn't. But since that time, I've done a lot of special things for the rock, and things have calmed down here. So maybe I'll have time to tell that story. But that's a good question to
Yeah, my favorite elemental is aluminum.
Speaking of rocks, that's my talking rock.
Hey, I had to break in here and give you or ask you to answer this question.
Okay.
Where do you get one of those books of Saint Benedict?
This book here, I love this book. Just go online, type in the Saint Benedict prayer book. It's a hardcover. It's not a very big book. It's a hardcover, black. It's got the Saint Benedict medal on the front, all in gold. But just night prayers, day prayers, morning prayers, Monday through Friday prayers. A lot of cool things in here. There's not so much about Saint Benedict. There's another book out there about Saint Benedict, but just the book is filled with prayers like you've never, I never knew existed before that are just phenomenal. And it's a great book. So just go online, type in Saint Benedict prayer book, hardcover. Um, Anything you want to know about my wife and I and our ministry work, go to our website, www.ghost-b-gone.biz. If you go there to visit, remember my wife and I don't charge for our ministry work, helping people with their paranormal issues. So, brothers and sisters, trust me, I know times are tough, but if you notice the donate button and you're able to do so, click on it and send my ministry in a small donation. I promise you it'll be appreciated from the bottom of our hearts. And trust me, we'll put it to good use. I'm also a certified spiritual advisor. So if you have issues of a spiritual nature, not necessarily attached to the paranormal, there's a place in the website where you can make an appointment to speak with me. But don't leave the website without navigating over to the page called Introduction to Spiritual Warfare/book. On that page, you'll find the Ghost Store. Lots of cool things to buy in there. And anything you buy in the Ghost Store, part of the proceeds go to charities that I donate to. So that's a very cool thing. But scroll down past all that stuff. You'll see my new haunted autobiography, God, Ghosts, and the Paranormal Ministry. And I quote, scariest book I ever published. That was Annette Munich, owner of Stellium Books, my publisher. But don't let that scare you off of purchasing a copy. If you haven't done your good deed for the day yet, part of the proceeds of every sale of every copy of my book goes to support stjude.org, St. Jude's Children's Research Hospital, Nevada, and the ASPCA. You get to help some of the neediest children on the planet and the animals too. How cool is that? You can get the book a little less expensive at Amazon, or you can get it off of the website. That book would come to you autographed and enclosed in a house blessing kit. So that's pretty cool. And it's a great time to get the first book and get all caught up because God, Ghosts, and the Paranormal Ministry 2, my second book, comes out 1 week from this Sunday, Memorial Day. The second book will be available again on Amazon and off of the website. And I quote my publisher again, even scarier than the first book. Just a little warning for you guys for when the second book comes out and you all rush out to get it. Okay, scroll a little bit past the book. You'll see the Introduction to Spiritual Warfare course. I offer a 12-week online college level course, Introduction to Spiritual Warfare. And this is the course for all you true warriors for Christ out there that feel a calling and a longing to want to have more knowledge when it comes to drawing your line in the sand, making a stand, putting up a good fight, circling the wagons against true evil. God forbid if it ever comes calling for you. This is the course for you. It's not going to teach you how to be an exorcist. That's a different calling. But this course is exactly what it is, Introduction to Spiritual Warfare through my eyes, through what I've experienced and dealt with and seen um, in my many years in the deliverance ministry field and uh, investigating cases of alleged demonic hauntings. You can enroll in the class there at the website. If you want more information about the class, there is a Introduction to Spiritual Warfare course Facebook page. You can read more about it, or just call me and talk to me about it. All my students who graduate get a stunning diploma, certificate of completion suited for framing, along with some other very special blessed gifts that you can only get from me. Okay, Mark your calendars. Um, we're just under 2 weeks away from the big premiere, Thursday, June 1st, 2023, at 10 p.m. on Travel Channel, Discovery Plus, and Max. Eli Roth presents The Legion of Exorcists, a new horror paranormal reality TV series. Yours truly is a key core cast member in it. So blessed to be a part of this project, and I pray and hope all of you enjoy it. A lot of hard work went into it, and so we're all excited for that show to come out and for all of you to see it. 6 episodes, so you'll get to see it every Thursday night over 6 weeks. Okay, the moment of truth, the reason why you all tuned in. I love this guy and I respect him. I think he's so cool. Um, he, I'm just going to throw it out there. I labeled him Mr. Cryptozoology. He's Bigfoot's BFF. He's an experiencer. He's been doing this a long time. And when I really want to have a good conversation about uh, Sasquatch, Genosqua, the Stonecoats, um, Forest Demon, all those good things, the Wood Booger, I call on this guy. Brothers and sisters, let's give a big, warm Paranormal Ministry family welcome to the one and only Carl Supp.
How you doing, everybody?
How are you,
Thanks
brother?
for having me. Good. I'm doing good.
I meant everything I said is from the heart. I never make a big list of things I want to talk to you about because our conversations always take on a life of their own. I do have a small list of some things that fans and followers of yours sent in to me to ask you. But
Okay.
I do know right off the bat, I'm going to get to some. Usually I do this later in the show, but I want to get to them right away because they're so interesting. You sent me some pictures. Zach
Yeah.
loaded them up, and we're going to go for it. And I don't even know what he's going to throw up, but as he throws them up, you can go ahead and start telling the story about them.
Sure.
So
So this
there
past
you go.
January, I was fortunate enough, blessed, if you would, to be able to at least salvage some, or if not most, of the collection from a research site up in North Texas. It just so happened that my work schedule put me over on a weekend there, so I could go up there and spend an entire day up at this site before the owner moved away and sold it. So um, this site was extremely active with researchers from about 2002 up until about 2007, with a lot of unique uh, research projects, ideas, concepts that some of them have never been repeated again out in the field, but some of them I actually use when I go out in the field as well. But this is a good sampling of some of the footprints, and you can see, everybody always tells me they're like, oh, those footprints are fake, whatever. Well, okay, you can see here that we have multiple different individuals, and just to give you a little size reference, I don't know if you can cut back to me or not, but like the footprint up in the upper left hand corner there, it looks kind of small in there, but this is actually it right here. So there we go. So, and you can see the toes on it. It's quite an impressive cast. So
wow, that is so cool. Oh man, could you imagine getting stepped on that by that guy?
yeah, there wouldn't be anything left of your feet
No,
there. Right?
no.
There's also handprints, and you can see the a lot of the toes, especially when the subject stepped in loose soil or mud.
I love
Sandy
the way you
soil.
got the ruler there. That helps out a lot. But those look like different cast imprints from the first picture. Is that a different set?
Yes, that's a different set.
How cool
As
is
well.
that?
And
And I
I
think
think there's another
what jumped
photo.
out at me when I saw those was the hands. A lot of
Yeah.
people some people get the knuckles. I don't see a whole lot of hands, which I find really, really cool. A lot of people get um, like elbow, like almost full arms, like from elbows to like, they have their hands closed and they're embedded in
Exactly.
the. I think that's so cool. So you gotta think
Yeah,
outside the box. You gotta be
yeah,
creative
and
and think of.
you can see on there where the position of the thumb is absolutely different from ours. It's a
Yeah,
little lower, and yeah,
and those are
it's unique.
huge. I
Yes. Oh
mean,
yeah.
the picture doesn't do him justice.
No,
Well,
no, not at all.
Carl, I was just looking at this, and it looks like the one that's third from the end. We're looking at about what 19 inches on that one.
Yes. Yep.
So, and which is the one that you have there with you? Is that one on
Uh,
here?
that one. Yeah. This one is it's 20. That's a 20 incher. So
Wow.
Okay, so that's the one that I was thinking was about 19 inches. About this one here. Oh,
yeah,
I guess this
this
one
one is
here.
not in this photo. It's not in this
Oh,
photo. It was in the previous
oh,
photo.
okay, okay, all right.
Yeah.
Before you
So
go, Zach, I want to point something out to everybody. Now that I'm going to be on a TV show, my producer starts dressing like a producer. Do you love that? Does the guy clean up well or what?
No, actually, what it is all my good clothes were dirty.
I,
So it was either this or I
if
was
I
going to wear my pajamas, but they might mistaken me for Bigfoot.
yeah
So
if I had known, I at least would have worn a bolo tie or
No,
something for
a
you.
tie would. Yeah, a tie. A squatcher. You can't. If you had came on in a suit, Carl, I would have probably just had you two do the show and had to leave. I
Yeah.
couldn't take that.
yeah, this coming from a guy who wears a collar all the time. Okay,
Yeah.
come on.
And I gotta wash this shirt. I can't remember the last time I washed it. It's my show shirt. It's just after the show, I take it off, hang it up. But it's getting itchy.
Now, is it
Yeah.
kind of like one of those basketball things where it's like the tear away? As soon as you're done, you just grab the collar and tear it away.
Well, the collar. Well, it's plastic. Where I don't know what plastic, but the collar comes right out.
It's
You
like a
know,
Halloween
you know,
outfit.
the collar does come out, and that's what they do nowadays. Unless you've
Yeah.
got like the ones where they go completely around the neck, like you see a lot of the priests in
Does
Rome with the. But I just pull the collar out, couple of buttons, and I slip it right off. Put
now
it on a
see
hanger. I'm done.
what I'd like to see is you got those little slap bracelets. Get one of those for around your neck to where you just take and slap it around your neck and have it. I think that'd be cool.
There you go. There you go.
That'd be good.
So yeah, the pictures don't do it justice. And then
Yep.
I love this photo too. First thing I thought was, is this a scene from the newest Indiana Jones movie that's going to be coming out?
Yep.
But then because I'm a big fedora fan, and I love. Is that your hat?
That is not my hat. That is actually the property owner's hat. And he passed away sadly in
Oh,
2007. But his widow actually gave me his hat, so I'm keeping it with
that
the
is
collection. So
awesome.
I think
That's an.
it's
And what's cool is that is as good at having there as a ruler for size
oh,
comparison.
absolutely.
A person's
Yeah.
head, the hat that they would wear next to these cast paddings. So what I want to ask you is that, like if you just randomly pick 20 guys that have been, investigating or searching for Bigfoot that really put the time in, boots on the ground, go out there. Some have had some experiences, maybe some haven't, but are believers. I would have to say most of them would tell you the great Northwest would be, ground zero. So tell people about where this is from, because when I heard where this was from, it was very surprising to me. And who would have thought? So talk a little bit about the area.
Sure. So the area is north of Dallas, and right near the just south of the Red River, and it's there's some hills, there's reservoirs, there's a lot of forests, and areas that are undeveloped, and of course there's a lot of ranch and farmland in that area as well. So plenty of opportunities for a population to hide and certainly thrive over the years, and an area where they can escape routes and just obviously plenty of water, but right along the Texas-Oklahoma border.
Well, what I'm going to do now is that we have one last photo. I'm going to let Zach pull that up and have everybody just take a quick glance at it before I even say anything. And I think this is a first on this show, but what we're looking at here is a letter correspondence, if you will. I don't know if that's appropriate.
Absolutely.
Between a researcher and what is believed to be one of these creatures. Talk to us about this intriguing note. You did send. I do have two of these copies, printouts of something similar to this that you sent me a long time ago, where somebody drew symbols.
Yes.
Trying to communicate, but I haven't seen anything like with wording like this, which is pretty eye-opening and jaw-dropping. Talk to me about this letter.
Sure. So this started as it started as an experiment out on at this property where the researchers that were on site had put out a notebook, and they put out this notebook, and they had a photo of a dog on one side, and then they on the other page they wrote the word dog, and then they'd set the pen out. Well, they set up cameras and audio devices and everything to try to, okay, we'll record, see if somebody comes up and looks at this thing, right? And of course, nothing happened. Nothing happened for a few days. So they said, let's take all the cameras down. So the next night they came back, or the next day, there in the notebook were these lines written in there, and they didn't quite understand what was going on with, it was just like scratching, right? Just lines written with a couple crossbars and stuff. They just didn't know what that was. So they reset the page. They put a picture of a cat, did the same thing, spelled out in English, CAT. And, the next night, something came into the notebook and wrote down some lines again. So this went on for, turtle and bird and then there was a page that actually had not only some lines on it, but also some English written in it. And the English later on, through this type of correspondence where they put down questions, it was the, I don't know what you would say, the medicine woman of the clan, whose name was Helote, and based on the spelling and the pronunciation, although she quite frequently just shortened it to HLT on the page. But I don't know if that was her perceived spelling of it or what, but it evolved. This correspondence evolved into what you see here. There was I was actually very shocked to see how many volumes of this correspondence were on site when I was there.
Wow.
And I was allowed and honored to capture, I think it was over 2,300 pages of this. So I have yet to read them all, but I will be going through those page by page and trying to get an accounting and try to figure out exactly how this went. But there was questions about their their clan structure and the members of their clan and the names. And like you saw on that one sheet, there was the name Neshoba was on there. Andan is listed in there as a, was one of the clan members, one of the males. And in fact, the footprint that I had sitting here, this footprint is Andon's footprint. So it's it's an incredible story, and I know that back in 2002 or 2003, there was a lot of researchers rushed to this site. Some of them snuck onto the property, kind of trespassing, trying to get a piece of the action, if you would. And it was really sad because the owners, this was not a hoax. The researchers that were on site during that period, I've talked to a few of them, and they are absolutely honest and straight as the day. I mean, there was no chicanery going on there whatsoever. But one researcher, I won't name his name, who had been there and actually had kind of swiped one of the videotapes that the researchers had done, or it was lent out to him. I guess there was a scene in there where the landowner was trying to the landowner, they were trying to recreate what had happened last night. So what was captured on the tape, on camera, they were trying to recreate what had happened with it. And so that recreation was used as an example, saying that, oh, look, here he is rehearsing in order to fake what was on the other tape. But that's not the case. I mean, I do it all the time, right? Isn't that the way you do scientific method, right?
Yeah.
You see something, you want to recreate that, is this something that a human can do? Let's try it, right? And if you tape somebody trying to, doing the experiment, and then try to use that as an excuse in order to, in order to discredit the entire, research effort, it was kind of sad, So, there's still to this day, if somebody says the name of the property up in Oklahoma, Texas border, there's a lot of Bigfooters out there. The first thing they'll say is it was a hoax,
Mm-hmm.
and it's all stems from this one person who badmouthed the thing because he got kicked off the property, and then he decided to do a smear campaign. So that's kind of sad.
Well, with all of this correspondence, written correspondence, I'm leaning towards it wasn't all one Sasquatch that wrote.
Oh no,
Probably
no,
many.
There was several that wrote in there. A lot of times, if some of them could not write in English and would write in these lines, right? And when they
So do you believe that's a level of maybe from different clans, or if they're all the same clan, just a level of exposure to mankind, or a level of intelligence difference from the ones that can actually write letters versus just scribble symbols?
Well, yeah, based on some of the diary stuff that I've read so far, that the medicine woman, her ancestor or grandmother, I'm not quite sure. There wasn't really that concept. I don't think they had. Actually, was a human woman and taught her English. So the other, and I'm not sure that, possibly that same thing, but you would like to understand also that not only did she teach her English, but she actually read the Bible to her as well. So, so there's a lot of references in this diary stuff about God and Bible references as well.
It's funny you bring that up. Okay, let's just address the elephant in the room here. I do believe in them, and I believe they're flesh and blood. I don't believe they're uh, from outer space. I don't
Mm,
believe
no.
they're ghosts. I don't believe they're the Nephilim or related to the Nephilim or demons. I do believe that they are a cryptid or a form of an elemental. I do believe they're flesh and blood. I believe they're one of God's creatures, but I do believe there is a supernatural element to them. What that is, I don't know. And the reason why I bring that up is because I want to talk about. I couldn't help for whatever reason you were telling me this, being with this woman and being taught things, and then there's a level of intelligence there with some of the writing. So they have to know they stink. And when I talk to a guy who says he had an experience, I never say I don't judge and I don't go squatching, so I don't know. But usually I'm waiting to hear him mention the stink because I had what I believe to be an experience when I was in junior high school out in the woods. And that was the very first thing I remembered. I never forgot that. And sometimes I can think back and I can almost smell that smell again. 60 years later it stayed with me. But you talk to some of the guys that have had experiences, and one of the first things they talk about is this stink. It's not like skunk. It's not like a dead animal. It's not like anything you've ever smelled before in your life. Do you think there's a level? Do they? You've seen them. You've been
Yep.
around them. Do they always stink, or is there enough of a level of intelligence that maybe some of them know how to clean up?
Yeah. Oh, they absolutely clean up. The my second sighting in Arizona, the one ran along the top ridge of large male, ran along this top ridge of this, with the sunlight during the day, backlighting him. And I joke about it because the way his hair flowed was just like a L'Oreal commercial, just beautiful,
Yeah.
just it wasn't like matted and like the you see um, a lot of most videos or movies that come out about Sasquatch. It's like this matted, hairy, fanged, stinky, you know, horrible. It's like no, I've the two that I actually didn't see, but I was close to them, just missed seeing them. But there was only two times that I've had experienced the smell, and I didn't see either individual. It was really close. In fact, the one time the horrible smell almost made me retch, and I said it was like a combination of uh, summer roadkill plus porta potty plus grass clippings that maybe been sitting in a plastic bag for a week. I don't know. That's about the only. And you combine that smell together, it was really bad. But that individual was kind of down this hill and was actually throwing rocks at me after it got down at the bottom. So I mean, I just missed seeing him, and that was out on Long Island actually. So, um, but yeah, no, all the other sightings, man, I've had them within probably 30 feet, 15, 30 feet of me, and no smell. So I couldn't tell you why or why not, but I can only assume that they take a little swim and clean up pretty good. I don't think they'd clean up as good as our host, but
Well, here's the pressure that's on way more on your shoulders than it is mine. Something happens to. I've noticed the change in people that research it as much as you have this creature. The change in terms of you talk to hunters that claim they've had him in the crosshairs and they're about to
yeah,
pull the trigger, and just something about what they're looking at in the scope, they just can't pull the trigger. It stops them. They just can't bring themselves to doing it. And I talk to researchers that are like, it gets to a point where You know they're real. You know they exist. You have the evidence. You're interacting with them. And now you've got this burden. I don't blame them for not wanting to have anything to do with the human race.
Well,
Um, we we could really, uh, and maybe back in the day, like some of the indigenous talk about the wars that their tribes have had with these forest giants. Maybe, enough, they've seen us do enough bad things to each other, and maybe some of us have done bad things to them. I wouldn't blame them for being as elusive as they are and never wanting to have anything to do
oh,
with the human race. But there has to be a sense of responsibility now with you. Like, you can't just. Do you think the government knows about them?
they have to. The
They
government
have
has to
to.
know about them.
And why
There's,
isn't there? They're now talking about the UAPs,
yeah,
and um, USPs.
yep.
Um, what do you
I
think why are they
oh,
holding back disclosure?
they're, they're holding it up because I don't think I think there's a lot of people that would suddenly not want to go camping out in the national forest if they said, "Oh yeah, this is real," and you know, here's our example. It's and also you'd come back up with you know, if they are, which I truly believe, they're you know a hybrid mix of us and something much older, and I think that they now you're entering into a human rights debate, property ownership debate. Do they own that property? What's and we don't have a really good track record, especially with indigenous people, right? I mean, I globally, and I'm not just talking about in the United States. So it's yeah, I think that all filters into it because you know I just I really feel for them. I can't imagine being in a complete and total uh, mode of hiding every day. But at night they kind of rule the night because they have such great vision and um, they can see so well and physically they're they can do impossible things that you know comparing them to humans would be considered that it's a supernatural thing, right? Who can snap a tree in half, right?
Yeah.
Uh, I can't do it, so therefore it's something supernatural. Yeah, so it's
Well, let me ask
um,
you this. Um, we'll talk about a couple of the popular theories out there right now. And I've even talked to indigenous people here on the outskirts of the Vegas Valley that live on some of the reservations here. I did an authentic sweat lodge session one time. And I remember the holy man who I know, like when somebody's not jiving you or not. He's not jiving me when he said, we've invited them, but we don't know if the Sasquatch will attend this session. And I've had friends say, well, they knew that you were going to get high, you were going to take some peyote, and they were planting the seed for you to see these things. No, it wasn't like that. I was thinking to myself, you know what? And I could never, ever tell anybody that I did a sweat lodge session with a Sasquatch. But that's the responsibility. I mean, if that were to happen, that's just something you take with you to the grave.
oh
But
yeah,
these same people have told me that, yeah, they interact with them all the time, and it is what it is.
there's
Let's talk about cloaking, and
sure,
this is the supernatural thing. Like these guys have told me you can be 10 feet away from one, looking right at it, and you don't see it because they can cloak, and it's not um, like a predator, but it's like they're like a chameleon. They just camouflage into their surroundings. So let's talk about cloaking. Let's talk about infrasound. I had a good
sure.
friend who went hiking and had some loss of time, and she doesn't believe in Bigfoot. But weeks later, days or weeks later, she happened to be talking to a friend who jokingly said, "So on all these hiking trips you take up in the mountains, now that you've moved up to the mountains, ever run into a Bigfoot?" and all of a sudden she got hit like a bolt of lightning. This suppressed in the back of her mind, forgotten about memory. What made her forget about it, she doesn't know, but this memory came rushing back about having ran into seeing one on the side of a stream that looked at her and psychically, telepathically told her, "You don't see me, go home." But she had forgotten all about that until her friend just out of the blue said, "Have you ever run into a Sasquatch?" So people talk about the infrasound theory, the cloaking, and then if we have time after you address that, I may take you on a trip to Nepal.
Okay. Yeah, I had so infrasound. Interestingly enough, my interest in that actually started with this research site up in Texas, because some of the equipment that was used could actually register not, not down to 0 hertz, but in the infrasound range still, right? So down below 20 hertz, and the that it was really interesting. I was trying to work on some of the audio. So a lot of these videotapes and recordings that were made at this property, I actually now have the entire collection of all the videotapes. So I'll be getting those digitized, and we'll be going through those as well to see if we can get uh, any additional uh, uh, footage of Sasquatches. But a lot of those, a lot of that, a lot of that video uh, was cleaned up and worked on by M.K. Davis in Mississippi, and his work is stellar, and he would turn over when he would find a clip that was interesting, he'd turn that over to me, and then I worked through a lot of the audio on that, cleaning up audio, getting rid of cricket overlays, you know, bugs chirping and whatever else off the tape, so you could hear the individual talking more in that. And it's interesting because a lot of that audio you actually hear um, them talking and saying Nashoba and Andan, um, and actually saying their names, which was, just, made me feel so great, at the time when I cleaned those up. But there was one audio where there was something happening, like I not sure what they were trying to do, but um, as I worked on it and I was trying to clean up this audio, it was two individuals having a conversation, and all of a sudden, the more I cleaned it up and worked on it, I felt ill. I mean, I kept getting sicker and sicker, and here I have my headphones on, and of course, have this thing on a loop trying to clean it up and work on it. So I've been at it for 3 hours probably working on this audio piece. Pretty soon, I couldn't listen anymore. I just felt horrible. I was like, I'm really sick. I don't know what my problem is. I stopped listening for a while, but 2 hours later, suddenly my head was clear again. I couldn't figure out what happened. I went back to doing work, and the moment I listened to it, all of us, I started getting sick again, and I was like, wait a minute. So then I started looking at the waveforms on there, and I saw that um, there was this down in the 16 to 18 hertz range, there was some some waveforms out there, and I was like, now every day we get exposed to infrasound, jet airplanes passing over us, trains moving along the track, and that's why, if you have a train that's whatever 5 miles away, and it's at nighttime, and all of a sudden you can hear even just the wheels of the train actually going over every seam on the tracks, and that's because there's an element of that actually falls into this infrasound range, so we can actually feel that even if we can't hear it down at that level, it goes into that infrasound level. Okay, elephants use it for long range communication. I believe whales also do it. Tigers actually have can generate infrasound as well. But here I am listening to this tape from Texas, and I see this something undulating between 16 and 18 hertz. So I isolated that and I bumped it up so I could actually hear what the sound was. And so I brought it up to about 30 hertz, boosted it, and that sound actually, it sounded more like, the only thing I could describe it as like a didgeridoo. So that kind of like a wow, 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 wow sound. And that just listening to it at 30 hertz, no problem whatsoever. I didn't feel ill at all. If I listened to it back at in its 16 to 18 hertz range, it was horrible.
Wow.
I've been out in the field when I was out on Long Island. I had an individual that I came really close to, almost saw him, caught a glimpse of a heat signature through the brush, but didn't get to actually get a clear view of this individual. And pretty soon he had had enough of me pestering him. Of course, I don't research like this anymore. I'm more of just a communication, and I'm not trying to get evidence, and I really enjoy that so much more. It
Yeah.
personally, feels great. But the this individual blasted me with infrasound, and I had that same exact feeling, and it actually made me collapse down onto one knee from this infrasound,
Wow.
and I couldn't even speak. It was that intense, and I finally managed to just squeak out, "I'm a friend," because I hadn't said a word up to that point except for just trying to capture him with a thermal. And when I said friend, suddenly the infrasound stopped, and I was still disoriented and kind of on the ground, but I was able to stand back up, and I just waved and I left the area. Because I was by myself. I mean,
Absolutely. Yeah.
it was extremely scary. So that so like I always tell everybody, I'm like, so either there's a tiger or an elephant loose in the woods on Long Island that
Yeah.
can create infrasound, or a land whale. I don't know. uh, and
It's
besides
it
that, obviously there's something else in the woods in North America that can create
and it
infrasound.
doesn't have to be a supernatural thing if they have the ability to do that. And
That's
I
right.
and they could be very, and telepathically or psychically communicating with my friend. It could be more her than them. They could be thinking it, and that's a big brain. And this is a
Yeah,
very old big brain from we don't know what
absolutely.
this creature is talking to her, and she might be fairly sensitive and psychic herself, being able to pick that stuff up. Like Sharon, we both know Sharon. She's a psychic. She goes out, psychically connects with them all the time in the field. So let's talk about real quick before I take you on a trip to Nepal to the most. We're going to land on the most dangerous airport in the world, Luxla,
Oh,
um, and we're going to talk about the latest film footage I've seen on they spell it YEH-TEH, Yeti. Well, we call it
Yeti.
Yeti. And I
Yep.
know it's not the one that we see on the Matterhorn at Disneyland. So I'll tell you about that film footage in a second, but let's talk about cloaking real quick.
Sure.
Do you think it's
So,
a
oh,
supernatural thing, or are they like a chameleon?
so all the hairs that I've found over the years, they're missing kind of the center of the hair, and so we have this medulla in the middle of our hair. So each one of our hair has a uh, center protein in the center of it, and that I'm not a hair expert by any means, but as described to me, that with the absence of that in there, it's almost like a hollow chain. It's so they have like a hollow chamber in their hair, and whether or not they can control or send, uh, you know, I don't know I couldn't describe what possibly they can do with it, but uh, based on the ones I've seen, uh, yeah, sometimes they have like a little bit of a sheen to them where they actually can blend in with an area. I mean, you can see there's like octopus, or there's a lot of creatures on this planet that can quickly change with like chromatophores, and change colors and change camouflage. You look at chameleons, right? Like you were mentioning, they get into can change that color, and I think that they can to a point, I think, modify their, I don't know, what do you want to say, their vibrational pattern, I guess you would say. And so I truly believe that they can cloak in a manner. I don't know what that manner is. If I was looking straight at one and then it cloaked right, went from a solid form to a cloaked form, then I could give you more input into that. But that hasn't happened to me yet. So,
Well, in Nepal, there's this retired Sherpa, old guy, born and raised in Nepal, spent most of his adult life as a Sherpa, professional Sherpa, retired as a professional Sherpa. But he's on this hiking trip with some buddies into areas where no one goes. And
okay,
he's on a edge of a cliff, sheer drop down, a little bit of an imprint, a little bit, I wouldn't call it a valley, but a little bit of a slopey area down below into another sheer cliff that's about 100 yards away. And it would take, way too long to hike around the rim to get above what they were filming. But from about 100 yards away, they're filming this thing walk, walk on the side of the sheer cliff 100 yards away, that's aware of them because it keeps looking back as it's walking along the sheer cliff. And they've done all the size comparison things. It's not a bear, way bigger than a man, but walking like a man. But the thing that jumped right out at me is we always think of the abominable snowman, white fur and stuff. But this thing was why it jumped out at me because it was in the snow, but it was looked just like a Sasquatch, brown hair, dark brown
yeah,
hair. Um, so I hadn't seen anything out of Nepal in a long time. Um, and then they've done some recent some of the experts nowadays have got some of the best equipment out there that analyze things like skin and hair are still analyzing stuff that coming from alleged Yeti out of that area. And these machines, okay, sure, they can't tell us that it's Sasquatch,
right,
but they can't tell us what it is. So not
right.
telling us what it is tells us something. Do you think that the Yeti is the same creature?
I
And
Yeah.
and what does it tell you that these machines don't tell us nothing?
I you know it's really interesting because I know that a lot of DNA samples that have been collected over the years, they'll get sent in. The DNA sample came from a Sasquatch, whatever. Well, it goes in, and yeah, they have a plus or minus 1%, error rate when they do that, and just because their DNA is 99.3% the same as ours, most labs would take that sample and say human contamination to that sample instead of actually looking at the thing. And it's one really frustrating thing because I know a lot of, one of the great, quotes in the last few years has been, like, follow the science, right? Well, absolutely. We follow the science, but it's also your job to question the science, right? Because that's how science improves. Otherwise, we'd still be bleeding people when you had fevers, right? I mean, you question the science, and it, so are they the same creature? I would venture a guess that they're just from environmental and you know just evolutionary traits of growing up in a different area over time. I would think that they have they're slightly different, um, but I think that they are uh, overall probably in this you know closer together in DNA match than we are to chimpanzees. you know, so
Yeah. Well, listen, brother. Um, I think sometimes I'm gonna have people on like you that I might, get on bended knee and beg Zach. Can we just do 2 hours with this guy or this girl? Or because sometimes I get people like you on here, and an hour is just not long enough. But did you have fun when you come back?
Oh, you know I will. You know I will. I always have fun with you.
When you come back, you know what I'd like to do again? Last time you were here, you had played some recordings, and that was a big hit. And the Hares, you either played a recording or you verbally reenacted what you had heard. And
Yeah.
it actually gave me goosebumps. It made the hairs on the back of my arm stand up, which was kind of cool. That was a big hit, too. A lot of people still talk about that when I say, I'm having Carlos up on the show. I got to get Sharon back on here. It's been a long time. I gave her a break because she was going to do a movie,
Yeah.
and
Yep.
she's doing some other stuff. And then her beau passed away unexpectedly, and I just want to give her
Yeah.
some
That
time.
was sad.
I'd like to get the two of you back on here
Sure.
together. Um, but I love you. I respect you. Thank you so much for taking an hour out of your busy Friday afternoon to hang out with me and the rest of the Paranormal Ministry family. Have a wonderful, wonderful remainder to your Friday evening. Next, when I get you back, I want to talk about your cabin experience.
Oh yes.
Um, and
That
then
was
if I don't talk to you again, have a wonderful, wonderful Memorial Day weekend. Okay,
all right.
I
Thank
love you,
you.
brother. You hang in there.
All right. I
I'll
always
talk to you
appreciate you.
soon.
All
All
right.
right,
Take
brother.
care.
See you later, Mr. Carl Supp. Yeah, it's guys like that are, out there doing it, man. And there's a lot of guys out there doing it. I know, but I'm a believer. And it's okay if you're not. I've got an ongoing bet with a vet that I know. He doesn't believe in them, but if they come out and prove it, and disclosure is out there, he's going to supply me with a lifetime supply of tacos. So it'll be Taco Tuesday for me every day if I win the bet.
Here's my question, Shawn, and this is actually a pretty serious question here.
Okay.
How can we not prove that they're not out there? We just found a fish that was supposed to not just found, but I mean they just caught a fish that was supposed to have been extinct 200 million years ago, and they caught one. You never know. I mean, you just never know. So
I'm a believer, man. I believe I've talked to many people like Carl about my experience when I was in junior high school, and they all, to a man, not even one person for a second thought it was because I had a few hits off a joint and threw back a few beers, and I was just middle of the night in the forest and scared that I imagined it. Not one of them even hinted that. And my description of what I encountered, they all believed that I came up close and personal encounter with a Sasquatch. So I believe in them. I really do.
yeah, well, like I said, I think it's, and you know me, I'm a skeptic on all of this. But the thing is that I'm never going to say that they don't exist because you just don't know. They caught a fish that has been extinct for 200 million years. Okay, that's not yesterday. I mean, that's
That's right.
that's from a while. And besides that, look, I have it. I have the utmost, or I have the without a doubt proof. The New Jersey Devil exists.
Yeah, there you go. Uh, they exist in round one.
They
Ba-da-ba.
existed. They existed. Okay, yeah, you got.
Sorry,
Yeah.
brother. You're such a handsome man in a suit, dressed like a producer today. All right, guys. I'll be here. I know you're like, he's coming back. I'll be here Monday. This coming Monday. Oh, you're gonna love her. First time on the show. I'm excited. Leslie Cody. She's a female demonologist. First female demonologist in the United States Old Catholic Church. That's pretty cool. She's also a lifelong personal paranormal experiencer. This is going to be a great show on Monday, May 22nd. Um, Thank you to Zach and Adrian Clayton, my co-producers, for co-producing my show. I couldn't do it without them. CommunityPayItForward.us. CommunityPayItForward.us. Go there. Just go there and then decide what you want to do. Watch a show, buy something, support some people. USOCC.org. USOCC.org, the church I belong to. If you're interested in Bible study, which is every Wednesday and Sunday afternoon at 5 p.m. Pacific, or night prayer, which is every weeknight at 7 p.m. Pacific, go to bishopjameslong.com. Scroll down to the bottom of the homepage. The link to night prayer is there for sure. That's on Spreaker. But you can also catch Bible study is streamed live at a few places, but easiest for you since you're watching here on Facebook Live is go to the United States Old Catholic Church Clergy and Parishioners Facebook page. It's live streamed there on Wednesday and Sunday afternoons at 5 p.m. Bible study is very cool with Bishop Long, and so is night prayer. Great way to end your day. Thank you to Things Network. Thank you to Temple of Phoenix Rising Entertainment. Thank you to Skeleton Key Network. Thank you to PACT, little p, capital ACT, Podcasting for All Coming Together channel, for all these networks simulcasting my show. God bless you for that. And BeInspiredRadio.net. Chicky Hot, the rock psychic. That's her radio network. She re-airs audio re-airs of my show on Saturdays all day. But there's a lot of other cool stuff there. A lot of other cool shows. Old replays of old Art Bell shows. That's a cool network. BeInspiredRadio.net. Go there, check that out. Legion of Exorcists. Eli Roth presents Legion of Exorcists Thursday at 10 p.m. on Travel Channel. Watch it. I hope you enjoy it. Let me know what you think. Bad joke time. I'm going to pull a bad joke that one of you sent in out of this haunted carnival barker hat. And it's my poor attempt to put a smile on everybody's face before I say good night. Where do polar bears keep their money? In a snowbank. Good night, Danny. Good night, Jack. Good night, Dog. Good night, Harold. Rest in peace. Good night, Ernie. Good night, Bill. Good night, Dan. I love you all. God bless you all. Peace.
Evil is on the rise. Demons battle to possess our souls and drag us one step closer to hell. But now, there is a gathering of spiritual warriors who defend us against the devil's minions.
Go back to hell! St. Michael the Archangel, defend us in battle.
And unite to banish the demons in our midst.
This was the case that opened my eyes.
This 17-year-old girl was so distraught that she would do anything to talk to her dad one more time.
Disturbing things started happening. You could feel the presence. It was just terrifying.
We ended up having our very first demonic experience. It frightened me. It frightened me to the core.
Demons wait patiently for the ultimate checkmate, the rise of the Antichrist, which will lead to the final battle between good and evil. Until then, the spiritual warfare will continue. These are the true stories of the Legion of Exorcists.